I wanted to create life on
Yeah.
screen and not just,
Good.
this filmy idea about story, plot point, and all these things. It's not about that. I just want to create life on screen.
So today's interview is for director's notes, and I actually just want to start with reading you what Marbell, who is the editor of director's notes, sent to me last night after he watched your film. So he said,
Oh,
Sarah and I have just finished watching Cactus Pears. What an absolutely divine piece of filmmaking. Enjoy tomorrow's interview and please tell Rohan he's a bloody genius.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Isn't that amazing? I agree.
Yeah.
So I don't even really know where to start because I have so much that I want to talk to you about. But I think I'll start at the end, if that's okay,
Okay. Yeah,
without
yeah, sure.
without any
That would be
spoilers.
something new. That would be something new because most of the time the kind of questions you get is always similar.
Yeah,
So
that's
someone wants to start with the end is something new for me as well.
okay, good. I think it just felt like this incredible moment of freedom and release, but without going over the top. And I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but I just want to know how you captured that without so many words and in the way from the moment that they walk into the apartment to lying on the floor. It just captured everything, and I personally felt the relief because I know what those periods of time are like, that 10-day period. So I'd just love for you to talk to me about that firstly, that scene.
And you won't believe so many of renowned filmmakers have told me film ended for us in the village. Why the film is going back to Mumbai?
Did
And I
they?
said, and I said, that is such a typical, stereotypical way of ending the film. And I know many of the filmmakers will do that, but for me, that's not the end.
Yeah.
And for me, there were like so many things because of which film had to come back with these two boys, even to Mumbai and to that house as well. One of the things was that Anand couldn't actually grieve his loss, in the village.
Yeah.
And even for me, even though I cried during the cremation or something like that, during my father's grieving period, what was the important thing was that when I came back to Mumbai, where I spent most of my time with my father, that's when I felt his absence and I actually cried. And
Yeah.
I felt the same that I need to bring Anand back to Mumbai
Yeah.
because once he's in the house, that's when he's gonna feel the absence more. And then having Baya next to him,
Yeah.
just being there as a support, I thought that is really important.
Yeah.
And so that was one thing. And the other thing was that the way Anand got his freedom in Mumbai, in that cramp, even though that apartment is cramped, small, but he got his freedom to be who he is because of the people in that house, which is his father and mother. And
Yeah.
even Baya now seeks the same,
Yeah.
and he would get to live with the person he loves.
Yeah.
So even he will, can experience that freedom and love. And that is why them coming to the house and sleeping together in that space which they will inhabit together
Yeah.
was important to me.
Yeah.
And that is why yeah, film ends there, film comes back to Mumbai. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That just I felt the release, and you could feel because you've said, and I know you've been asked about this quite a lot, that it's a quiet film, but it's a heavy film, right? Because you feel his weight, you feel Anand's weight, and maybe like I don't know, the South Asian diaspora and people who are of the religion who understand what that time period's like understand it a bit more because it's such an intense period where you're trying to grieve and do everything you should be allowed to do in those moments and this tradition like imprisons you equally you're trying to be there for all the other people who need you to be and it's this pressure cooker moment. So I think you brought the heaviness of the emotion whilst it is a quiet film. And I think a lot of that did come through your sound, obviously your sound design and but your cinematography. So I'd just love for you to talk about that a little bit.
So both these things were part of the films even before I started writing. Like, one of the things that I had decided that film will have static camera work, and that there will be most of the shot will be wide shots. Very rarely I will go very close to the character. That was because I like to see where these characters are. I don't. I mean, in some films it works that all the time camera is right in on the face of the actors. But I think that has now become cliche to trap characters and make them
Yeah.
helpless. But I think you can also make them look helpless and trapped even with these wide shots, of
Yeah.
the villages, and that uh, um, there are no people, there's vastness, and by showing him like a small figure in that vastness, even then you can show that.
Yeah.
Also, uh, I didn't want to use grading, like, most of the time people use season, like monsoon, to show that uh, gray, no, what do you call that? Sadness or gloominess.
Yeah.
Again, I was like, no, I mean, you don't need to do that all the time. So,
Yeah.
in the villages, most of the time, people start building bungalows and they run out of time and they cannot finish the bungalows. So, sometimes they just do the cement plaster and leave the house. So that grayness on the wall can also be part of that, that
Yeah.
gloominess. So
Yeah.
I wanted to use all of those things, and I also that I wanted to show that there is life around Anand as well. Anand not is not the only one living life. There are so many other people living their lives, and I wanted to show Anand within those
Within that.
things. And
Yeah.
that is why that wide shots all the time, you see people around him. I wanted to create that. And sound design, because I actually wanted to create portrait of that time that I experienced in the village, because most of the time me and my mother would be in the house. My uncle and aunt and my cousin who's a vet, they would go on their work, and his wife, my cousin's wife, would be sometimes in the house, out of the house, doing her own thing. So me and my mother would be there all the time, and most of them we were just sitting. So I was just sitting in the veranda looking at the village, so there was a stillness, the sounds of the villages, the nature. And at different time in the village, you would hear different. Like in the morning, people are doing their work, going to the farms and taking their animals to graze. So there's lots of those sounds. And during the afternoon, it's more quiet. You just hear birds and stuff. Again, in the evening, it becomes noisy. So I
Yeah.
wanted to have all of those things in the film, and that's why since the writing started, I incorporate all of that into the script.
Right.
And when I started doing the location scouting, I was clicking my own pictures of the location to start creating a visual language, and
Yeah.
then I would also color grade those images. So when we did the test shoot with the camera and lenses, I shared all those images with my DOP and my colorist, and based on that, they also came up with their own look for the film. Because I had told them that this film cannot look like any other Indian film, or for that matter, any other Marathi film. I need to have a very specific, different looking film.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it should look realistic, because there is this habit of filmmakers to beautify everything. You
Yeah.
show the village, Indian village, very exotic thing, but that's not the case. Villages
Not
are
true.
not like that at all. So
Yeah.
I wanted to show them the way they are, but at the same time have some nostalgic quality to it. So I had told my DOP that, I just want the images to look like photographs, and the static camera work will actually give us enough room to compose the frames and the choreograph the scenes. So with him I did all that, and then when I locked all the locations, I did my own storyboard. So the film that you see, 90% film was drawn on the paper, which I discussed with my DOP, and it is actually him who actually took those images onto the screen using,
Right.
his lighting, lens choices, everything that the DOP does. He actually translated those images onto the screen, and then my sound designers, I mean, when we started designing, the Anirban Bor Thakur and Naren Sandarkar did a sound design, and they said, let's go to the village again and let's record live. So all the sound design that you hear is actually we went to all those locations. We spent time at all those locations from morning to evening, and we recorded live throughout.
Right.
Because all the sounds that you hear, you cannot really actually take that one goat or one cow or someone is yelling at the other end of the village. Even that you hear. So you can't
Yeah.
just take the single things. So
Yeah.
that's why we went there and we recorded everything in surround sound,
That is
because I
amazing.
wanted to create sound design, because now the technology allows you to create 360-degree world, which is even outside the frame.
Yeah.
And I wanted to use that. And it's actually my sound designer who suggested that we do this goal and record. And it took us 1 year to work on the sound design. My sound designers worked on it for 600 plus hours. So
Wow. I
that's
mean,
and then my colorist also, it's their talent, the way they graded, and it's sound and color and the images is all because of them. I mean, of course, it was my vision, but
yeah.
it was their talent as well who actually, you know,
Did
uh,
it?
they were committed to that vision and they really made it possible.
Yeah. I mean, oh, it's a masterpiece, and the stills, I couldn't get over it. And did you always know you wanted to do that? Like, was that in your head from the beginning? Yeah. Where did
If I could, I would have showed you the actual storyboard, and you would see everything was drawn, even with
how
the
amazing?
layout, even in the layout in the room. Where are the characters? Where is the camera position? If camera is moving, like the sequence in the ambulance when they take the dead body out, camera moves and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It was all drawn, even with the layout plan and everything.
Wow. I mean, the sequence in the ambulance when they take the body out was really poignant because of your angle. I was like, I would never expect to see that angle of it. It was incredible. And I was just like, where has your inspiration come from?
Um, I don't know. Like while writing, I didn't have these thoughts. I was just writing. I mean,
Right.
you have general images in your head while writing, but most of it actually is developed when I have the locations, because now I can see the space where I want to, shoot these scenes. And when I have this space, I spend time there.
Right.
And because I was always interested in images and I'm an interior designer, I have to imagine when I have to design, I have to imagine the space.
Yeah.
So all this allows me, and I can draw. So all this allows me to really imagine and draw on paper so people can see it. So it is actually the space and then the scenes which were written in the screenplay, and then you start thinking about it. And because the whole idea of this making a storyboard is to create the visual language for the film, which
Yeah.
didn't exist, right? But now I have the locations, now I can. And the other thing is, like, I hate the other practice. That's me who hate and don't like it, which is going onto the set and suddenly trying to figure out things, how to shoot it. And I don't like that. I mean, like, I have my so much time to really work on the images. So
Right.
let's use that time before the shoot. And I spent like 3 months to create that storyboard. So I had 3 months to really create that visual language, each frame, how it's going to look. So then you're sure this is how
Yeah.
it is. This is how I want to shoot. Because once you are on the set and you have set your camera, you shot. You don't have option. You have already shot it. But this
Yeah.
time, in pre-production, I can really think a lot about that one image, and if I want to change it again, or that thing. It's almost like, you write screenplay and then do you rewrite, and making this storyboard was actually writing the whole screenplay again, but with the
Yeah.
images.
So interesting. What a incredible creative process. And did you use special cameras for the stills? What did you use?
No,
No? Wow.
still as in when I was taking stills.
Oh, as in the static images in the film.
Oh, it's just the Sony camera we use. I mean, we couldn't use the high-end camera, but I was sure that because we needed to shoot so many scenes at dawn and dusk, and I really wanted that cut to capture that light, and
Yeah.
that's why my DOP suggested that let's go for Sony FX9, because then it has dual ISO, it is full frame camera, 4K, so it will help us a lot. Because you see there are so many long takes, like the swimming sequence where these boys are swimming. It's a long take. There are no cuts. And we shot it for 2 days. one day when they're on the land, and on next day we shot it when they get into the water,
Yeah,
because I wanted to shoot in that light. And if the shot is, if you don't get the shot, we have to do everything again. But then we have to wipe them dry.
yeah,
It's gonna
yeah.
take time. The light will go, and then the camera needed to have all this flexibility, and so that we can in post production even actually tweak a little more and get the desired look. So it was just that camera, because our budget didn't allow us to use high end cameras, but hopefully in next project I can use that. But this was cinema camera at the end of the day, but not the top end one. But we
Incredible.
used vintage lenses. We used vintage lenses because I hate the look of those modern, ultra sharp look of the modern lenses.
Yeah,
And I
this was
told my DOP,
beautiful. It was,
I don't want that at all. And that's when he suggested, can we use vintage lenses? I was like, I would love that. And he suggested, let's go for Russian lenses. These are discontinued, but India only has one set of those lenses in Hyderabad. So we had to fly those lenses to Mumbai,
wow.
calibrate them, test them. And these are Russian vintage lenses called Lomo Illumina Mark II. We use them to shoot the film.
Yeah, incredible. It makes it just feel so sort of genuine, and you feel like you're there. It doesn't feel shiny. What's this a film about? What's it?
What do you think? You have to tell me now. I made my film, but now what audience are you feel is more important? What do you feel? You tell me now.
So I don't think it's about because I've seen a log line or two written somewhere that's and it's about the homosexual narrative and finding love and finding who you are, which of course is a huge part of it, but um it feels like it's actually this incredible story of like finding yourself through some of the most pivotal moments in which we live, and it's sort of relationships, identity. And when I say relationships, obviously the romantic ones, but his relationship with his mother, his relationship with his extended family, his relationship with his friends, and it's almost like for me it's the story of a guy almost finding himself finally through one of the most life-changing moments that someone can go through when you lose a parent, I think.
I mean that's what it is. Like film is about so many things at the same time. But people during pitches don't expect this answer. They want to be specific thing. And that's why we had to write a log line which will satisfy them and help us get the funds and stuff like that. But yeah, film is about so many things. And I mean, that's what it is. Like, even during the editing process, some people said, "Oh, I don't understand if the film is about these two relationship between these two boys, or relationship between Anand and his mother, or Anand and his father. It's all confusing." And I was like, you know what? That's what it is. Life is,
That's life.
I wanted to create life on
Yeah.
screen, and not just
Yeah.
this filmy idea about story, plot point, and all these things. It's not about that. I just want to create life on screen.
Yeah.
So it's about life, and it's about that phase of life when you lose someone.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to create a tender portrait of that phase. So it's
Yeah.
just a tender portrait of that phase.
Yeah. And that I mean, you've summed it up best, life on screen. And it's that I think that moment in time as well that you've chosen, it's obviously one of the most intense moments that anyone can go through, the mourning period, and you can only really understand it if you're of the religion or a religion that has a mourning period. And
Yeah.
I think the fact that you've chosen that, but there's such juxtapositions of what he goes through in that period of, you know, finding a romance that he didn't expect, unlocking something with his mum in the most unexpected way, but realizing how to let her continue to live within the family. Even his relationship with his little niece,
Yeah.
that brings me to
Us,
life.
unfortunately, we had to cut some two small movements between those two, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, I thought that was a really is the bit where he's obviously had his hair shaved for the 10-day ritual, and she's just sitting there looking at him. And it's exactly what we were doing as the audience. We were like,
Yeah.
you do look so different. And I wanted to be like, can I touch it? So I think you captured that so incredibly
I
well.
mean, these things are, that's what I'm saying. I wanted to create life, and all of this is inspired from life, because in real life, kids do that,
Yeah, they do
like my nephew did it when
that.
when my father passed away, he did it. And even when I was a kid, I wanted to touch someone's, bald head and just feel how it feels. So it's
Yeah,
all, it's just life. And
yeah,
I think as a creator, you always absorb life, keep absorbing, and when you are creating something, some of that is useful to create these,
yeah.
moments.
Yeah, and I think you really get the depth of the characters and the journeys that they go on. All of them, even the ones that are a bit further removed. Like you understand the pain of um the parents because you understand that they want their kids to get married and tick all the societal boxes and whilst you're obviously annoyed at them. And I have to say, even at the beginning, when Anand was just being annoying about the grey versus black t-shirt, even to an extent, I was like, dude, just change the t-shirt. Like, but then you love him because you understand what's happening. Because, it's the kind of things you do to just keep your family happy.
Yeah.
So you could really relate to the emotion that was going on. What are you doing next? Am I allowed to ask you?
I mean, so like, I have an idea in my head, like my writing process, like for this one also, like, the idea came to me in 2016 when I was grieving my father. And it took me 4 years to start writing, and that's how it is, for me. It's like if the idea sticks with me for that long, then I know I have to write,
Yeah.
because you get so many ideas all the time, right? But they not every idea is worth exploring and spending time, in it. So and but during that time, what happens is you get some visual notes, some idea for a sequence, or like, the sound design, and so many things you keep, thinking about it. And then at one moment, at one point, your head is saturated with all those things, and then that forces you to sit down and write. So that is happening right now with the other idea, which is with me since 2018. So I'm just thinking about it. Hopefully by end of this year, I will have the screenplay for that. And even now, I'm also trying to explore that idea. So it's a bit too early for me to talk anything about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it's a completely different film than what you saw, and that's what I like. I like to listen to the idea, and that idea actually dictates you how to tell this story in a best way. So if you see my previous short film, it looks completely different than this film, or the film before that, that looks completely different. So I want to do that. I want to give justice, do justice to that idea, and present stories in different way, in unique ways. And that for that I have to spend time with that idea, so
Yeah.
to find a vision for that specific story.
Yeah.
So
No, that
yeah.
makes sense. And you want to continue writing and directing together? That's your plan?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I like to write my own script, even though it's a painful process to write. But I like to write my own scripts. I cannot work with other people's scripts,
Fair
because
enough.
then I have my own ways to tell stories. And
Yeah.
then if I have to change that other writer's script, then it's not fair. Because
Yeah.
already this one actor friend, he's been, asking me to direct this script, and I was like, dude, already, because he's acted in one of my films. Really, it's okay, but still read it and let me know if it interests you. So, all that happens, but I prefer to write my own things.
Yeah, fair enough. And is there anyone out there that is your inspiration? Doesn't have to be in the film world, but just I don't know, got you wanting to make film.
No, actually, my first inspiration or my first love to the cinema was a film projector as a kid, because I was just
Okay.
fascinated how this machine makes this images look so big, and how is it making it move.
Yeah.
So my love for the cinema actually started with the gadget, and that is why I'm so much interested in camera, sound, and everything. So I do my own homework, and then I share all that with my team. So since the projector was the first love, and when I was I think 7 or 8 years old, I made my own slide projector. So it was that, no filmmakers, no film actor. That was not my inspiration. Later on, as I started watching world cinema, because I had access to DVD library in Mumbai around 2007.
Hmm.
Started watching lots of films, and that's when I realized that how differently you can tell stories. There's no only one way, which is Bollywood or the popular filmmaking. That's
Yeah.
not the only way. You can tell the stories in so many different ways. that actually helped me understand and then challenge myself to, and how can I tell my story in my own ways, and how can it be different and not the, and I mean, see, like simple this thing that most queer films that we see end with the tragedy. With
Yeah,
this
they do.
film,
Yeah,
there's a tragedy, but the film ends with the optimistic and these two boys taking that step to come together and explore that bond. So all of these things help you to
yeah,
create something that people have not seen before, and even that's exciting to me as well. Oh yeah, this is something new, I want to explore that. So
yeah,
that excites me most of the time. But yeah, I mean, I of course I have few filmmakers which I'm always excited about, to see their work, like Michael Haneke,
yeah,
Hirakazu Koreeda, Pichatapong Virasatakul, Nuri Bilge Ceylan, and so many more. Even like old times like Satyajit Ray. There's some filmmakers in Marathi. Jabbar Patel's film, when I saw as a kid, Marathi film, his films used to look so different, and I used to be so fascinated, by those films. And I was like, and even then I used to feel why this looks or feels so different than other films. That used to attract me all the time. So
yeah.
that's what it is. The different kind of ideas, different storytelling attracts me. So that's it.
Amazing. Well, and just sort of finally, what do you want people to take away, what or feel when they watch the film?
Feel is something that I've been saying that in my pitches as well, that I just feel that, or that they feel as if the film is giving them a warm hug. It's just that I want them to feel that, because that we usually see, I mean, that's what, right, we associate this grieving period with sadness. But I didn't want to make a sad film. I wanted to make a film which is warm and tender, and I just wanted that audience should feel that film is giving them a warm hug, and it's just that. And
Well,
they just they should have a smile on their face while watching the film. That was the whole goal.
I felt a warm, big bear hug, and I had a smile on my face. But I also just felt, I don't know, I felt free because it's this understanding of that, of how tradition can make you feel, but there is always a way through. So
And to be honest, I don't like to tell what audience should feel or take away, because as we were talking about, I just wanted to create life on
yeah,
screen, and experiencing life can be different for different people,
everyone,
because people have their own perception about life.
yeah,
And let them feel like, for some people most important was the mother and son bonds. For some
yeah,
people it was different. So I'm like, okay, yeah, you feel whatever you
take
want
what
to
you
feel, as
want.
long as you feel something,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
it's that's important.
Yeah, no, well, that's brilliant. Well, congratulations on an incredible film and all the
Thank
accolades to date. And it's been a total privilege to talk to you. So thank you so much for your time.
thank
Um,
you thank you so much.